This is Deductor bringing you Terraformers, a game about terraforming Mars, not to be confused with the incredible board game. This is a kind of a roguelike game that is in the same spirit of Terraforming Mars, with a lot of the same themes, but it's only single player, whereas Terraform Mars is really more of a competitive multiplayer board game. I've had a lot of fun with this. I recently purchased both DLCs on the Steam sale, Winter 2024 Steam sale. I own the base game since like when it came out 1 or 2 years ago. I can't remember when it first released, but it's fun. I played, like, it's sort of something you play once in a while and then you beat some scenarios and then you put it down and maybe come back once in a while to play a game. It's not like a Against the Storm, which is an all-time classic, and I've put hundreds upon hundreds of hours into Against the Storm, most of it offline. Whereas this game, I think I have like 30 hours or something. But I've enjoyed it, and it's kind of a nice, simple, relaxing game to show off. It is also nice to hear developers support it even after the release. So why don't I get into this and I'll explain the game as it happens. So these are the DLC scenarios. I actually tried to record an earlier series, but I had some OBS problems. So we're not going to do this Settling Soul scenario. Let's do this Grand Monument scenario. It's a new one with one of the DLCs about building megastructures on Mars. And I will go to the max difficulty and see what we can do here. So let's get into it. Are you sure? The answer is yes. Okay. Grand Monuments. Welcome to the Mars Colonization Project. Mars, a virgin planet yet untouched by human hand, its wide open plains offering plenty of space for new construction. There is no better place in the solar system for trying our hand at grand projects for which overbuilt Earth no longer has the space. Wonders of high technology, grand architecture, things mankind could hitherto only dream of shall rise proudly into the Martian sky. Earth has sent resources to start the settlement and proposes some leaders to represent you on Mars. Good luck. Okay. So, we have a choice of 3 possible starts. Could do balance. This one tends to be the weakest option. You probably don't want to pick that. These resources I'll explain in a bit, but you can just tell by looking at the bonuses and the resources. Balance has less than the other options. Ooh, space. You start with 2 trade routes. That's pretty powerful. And then orbital ring could be pretty powerful as well. Could also just go for the hardcore terraforming. That's also an interesting choice. Which one should I do? Space, which I feel is very, very powerful. But terraforming might be more fun. Import oceans are always nice. Oxygen factory. All these things I'll explain in a bit. Maybe I feel like I really should choose one. You know what? Let's go for terraforming. The last game I played was a lot of space stuff. And although I feel like the space start is probably a little more powerful because it's 2 trade routes, I want to do something a little different. The last game I played offline, I did very little terraforming and all space. So let's try to do the opposite. All right. So this game, we start with our city here, Ichus Overlook. And here's the planet Mars. And zoom around here. We're just one little tiny colony on the planet right now. In fact, where is our city? I seem to have lost it. There it is. Okay. Kind of near the equator. Well, no, not that close to the equator. Kind of close to the South Pole. And then on the left, we have various UI elements. So at the top left corner, we have our victory condition. We have to build 26 megastructure stages. We'll get to that later. Like, that's not the most important thing right now. We have this thing called support. That is very important. This is happiness. It's kind of like the Queen's impatience against the storm. But to my knowledge, it's either like it's at 0 and you lose, or anything above 0 is fine. You can have 10,000 and doesn't give you extra buffs or anything. Which, this is an area of the game where maybe they could expand it. Like, if your people are super happy, you should get some bonuses. But anyway, this is your basically life. Don't let it get to 0. I'll talk about this later. Then down here we have 8 different resources. Food, mostly for new population. Power, used for exploration. Many buildings use it. This is probably the second, or this might be the most common resource. Like, use it for pretty much everything. This also says removing rocks, but we'll explain that later. Science, mostly for research, and also some buildings and spreading life and so forth, like bacteria. Water, food production and spreading animals. Nitrates, food production and spreading plants. Silicates for scientific type projects. Titanium for mining, robots, industrial buildings. And tritium for power and space projects. But various projects, they're not pigeonholed into this. Like, there could be science projects that, for example, doesn't require silicates. And then trading, which we can't do right now. And then we have 3 slots for space projects, which can't actually do anything about that right now, so no reason to explain about that. Then let's do the right-hand side first in terms of the interface. So if you ever played any sort of terraforming game, you'll probably recognize temperature, oxygen, and rainfall, along with atmosphere. So there's a lot of help text, but the bottom line is raising these parameters will make people happy and allow you to import various life forms like bacteria, animals, and plants. Plants often, for example, need a certain amount of rainfall and temperature to be able to thrive, and most animals need some degree of oxygen, for example. Atmosphere is mostly about keeping people happy, though. And then we have this giant leader panel, which I'll get to probably last. Then we have on the bottom, these are cards. The way the game works is that there are projects of various types that you can build using your resources, and they all come in the form of cards. So we have right now a habitat module and an oxygen factory. That the oxygen factory, if we put that down, which I would want to, we can start setting up getting some atmosphere and oxygen going right away. CO2 factory, if we can get some titanium, I can't play it yet, but I should be able to play it soon. We can get some atmosphere and heat going. So getting that terraforming started will be very good for our happiness. In fact, because of that, I can prioritize resource development instead of happiness. But we'll talk about that in a bit. The resource development part. What else is of great note here? We can go into the city. This is good to see. So these projects down here come in various flavors. Right now, we only have the projects with the blue background, which these are all city projects, and the cards tell you. So habitat module must be building a city, extra population, extra comfort, extra support per turn, and you got your resource costs up there. There's also a little flavor text. A standard housing unit straight from a space station. And then we can... Oh, I guess I should do the leader then, because the game wants us to do that. So this tutorial is not like the tutorial you're going to get when you buy the game and play the first tutorial mission. Okay, so leaders. This is a very important choice. The way it works is you got turns, and every 10 turns you get to pick a new leader. And there are leaders for the early game, mid game, and late game. Leaders are supremely important. They give you significant different bonuses and significant different abilities. Every leader can explore the planet. So right now, we only have this city, but we can use the leader to explore these other locations and get resources and expand over there. So you have to have a good amount of exploration, and every leader can always do that. Then they'll have 2 special abilities. And so, for example, this guy, Leo Richardson, he can do a communal transport hub. This is a city project. It says must be built in the city. It gives the city +1 free expansion and +1 extra expansion per 3 population living in the city. That's quite good. A free building for expanding. Expansion is very valuable. He also has a distribution center. Must be built on a planet location. So this one, unlike the communal transport hub, you have to place somewhere on Mars itself. And it also helps you expand, as you can see. And adjacent mines provide extra trade route to export their resources. We'll talk about that later. But the point is, it seems like his abilities are, active abilities are about expansion. Every leader always has a specialization. So this one is grandiosity, gain +1 support per turn every time you construct a megastructure stage, which we want to do. Remains active for the entirety of the game, even after the leader has retired. So all of these active skills you can only use when the leader's here, but the grandiosity will stay around for the rest of the game. So that's pretty good. And since our goal is to build megastructures, this guy, Leo Richardson, automatically seems like a good choice. But we should always look at our options. I also have Lena here, who can explore, of course. Spend 5 water and gain +75 support. Well, that's not good in the early game. You want to get a lot of resources. And if we're terraforming, happiness and support should not be a problem. So we're never going to use that ability. Local art gallery. This one seems pretty nice. It's free. You put in a city, and adjacent population are happier. Plus, you get some support for every planet location, providing support or comfort of living owned by the city. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But the point is, she's about happiness. And if you have 700 or more total support, gain +1 project suggestion and +1 project research per turn. Okay. I was just talking about how the happiness doesn't do anything by default, but there are leaders where if you have a certain amount of support, you get some extra bonuses. But this wouldn't activate for quite a while. And the effect about the project suggestion and project research, those are good, but you generally want to pick stuff that does something right now, right? Most of her abilities don't actually do anything right now, whereas Leo Richardson, his abilities, I think, would do stuff pretty much right away, especially expanding. Early on, you want to expand very aggressively. So we will pick Leo Richardson here. Large-scale infrastructure. Americans go big or go home, and nobody is more American than Leo Richardson. Yes, he's obviously from Texas. From the earliest days of his career, he embraced megacity designs and grand architecture. The bigger, the better. His first major project was the new capital of the American Midwest, intended to revitalize the dying region. Due to his efficient layout of infrastructure, it became a resounding success, and he was soon hired to design ambitious megacities in the Emirate of Dubai. Now, giant towers of glass rise from the sand, housing millions of people, a true marvel of engineering. For his next project, Leo has set his eyes on Mars, for only the red planet can offer a greater challenge than the Arabian desert. Confirm him as our leader, and the game now can start. So, we'll get into the city. First action you have to do for a new city is always to place the headquarters. And you can see every city has these slots where you need a slot to put down a project, including the headquarters. Every city always has a headquarters. There's always 15 slots, I believe, and never changes for every single city. But some cities might have other bonuses and things in it. But the point is, you get 15 slots. And it does matter. The placement of the buildings does matter. For example, I happen to know that there are buildings. A headquarters is like a population. There are buildings where if you put in the middle and you have like 3 housing next to it, the housing would get, the people would get buffs to happiness or other things. There's also similar adjacency bonuses for science and power generation and so forth. There are also buildings you put down that make people unhappy if they're living next to it. So you wanna be a little careful. I have a feeling in this capital, we'll probably want to put an entertainment building here. Or maybe we should do it here. This might be the best because like we could do a house here, here, and here. And then we could put if we put a happiness building here, it would affect 3. Wait, I'm trying to get myself... Oh, yeah, if we put a happiness building here and here, we could affect potentially many different housing. So here seems good. Let's do it. Then, so we played our headquarters. We have the resources to put down an oxygen factory. This thing, I don't believe, ever has any... That's not true. I think there are some late game buildings that can provide bonuses, but we're not going to worry about it. I'm just going to stick it in this corner over here. Cost of 17 water. So these are cars, right, that represent projects. And now we have a oxygen factory generating atmosphere and oxygen per turn. The game even tells you in 30 turns, we will have increased the oxygen on Mars, and in 57 turns, we'll increase the atmosphere. But there are ways to get these numbers up so it doesn't take so long. Can't put the CO2 factory down because we don't have the titanium yet. And I can put down a habitation module. But let's do that in a little bit. We'll come back to that. First, we will do our exploration action. So, exploration costs power. The power depends on the distance from your closest city. Right now, all the spaces are equally distant, so they all cost 1 power. And then each site, there's always some sort of bonus you get for exploring a site. So we have one with a large hint of titanium, a small hint of tritium, large hint of nitrate, small hint of water, and then the others are all small. Well, titanium, I know you need early game to build most of your mines and various buildings to expand and get more resources. So I'm going to go for this large hint of titanium. We also need titanium for the CO2 factory. So when you explore it, we found a titanium deposit. The resource prospection of the location has revealed deposit of titanium as well as small hints of tritium. We can collect the samples recovered while prospecting. So we get +6 titanium and +2 tritium. And we have potentially revealed even more titanium and tritium. How interesting. How very interesting. If we can expand here, we can build a mine to gather titanium every turn. So a regular, and the game explains you need to control the location built here to expand to this location. First, increase the population, robots, or infrastructure of a nearby city. So now we can put down a habitation module and get that mine. So I'm going to do that. Notice this thing says +1 population, +1 support per turn. And you'll see that you need people to build more buildings. Right now, because I only have 1 person in the headquarters, all I get is 5 buildings. Even though there are 15 slots, all I can do is put down 5 buildings at most. And the game UI reflects that with the 2 out of 5, because I have the oxygen factory and the headquarters. If I put down the habitation module, we can see now that it's 9 buildings. We have 3 buildings, 3 out of 9. And the locations is 1 out of 2. The city itself always counts as 1 location. But now we have an extra slot where if I click on this and I click on the titanium deposit, now I can build my mine at the cost of 4 power for titanium, but I get 1 titanium per turn for the rest of the game. Game usually lasts like 50 to 70 turns, so we're getting like at least 50 titanium out of this. Pretty good deal, right? Gotta have that. Get some resources going. And then we can't put down the CO2 factory yet, but we should be able to do that soon. So your leader can always do 1 action a turn, period. We already did our explore, so nothing to do with the leader. You generally want to play cards in the early game that gives you extra like resources or does something like CO2 factory. So yeah, that's our first turn. There's nothing else to do right now. So once everything is done, I can end the turn and go to turn 2. And now, every single turn, you get a project proposal. So research projects. Right now, there's 3, and you can pick 1. It even sort of explains in this very long list the way it works. But the summary is early game, they will give you relatively simple projects with relatively low costs that does something very basic. Like the greenhouse farm gives you +1 food a turn. The tritium generator gives you +1 power per turn. The laboratory gives you +1 science per turn. So all basic stuff. Later on, things get a lot crazier. Generally, you want to pick stuff that you can actually do or use early game. So we have no water for the greenhouse farm. We could have nitrates and silicates. Maybe. But we already have 2 tritium, and we're going to be able to explore more tritium. So the tritium generator seems really valuable. Power is like probably the most common resource out of the 8 possible resources. Power is like the one you pretty much need for everything. So getting some power going is good. Notice this building says adjacent population provides -1 support. So we don't want to put it next to the people. We want to put it out here somewhere. Once we can build it, of course. So I'll just pick that as our project, but nothing, can't build it yet. And our leader has an action. Oh, note the titanium, it was 7, and now it went to 8 because we have the whatchamacallit, +1 here from our mine. So we want more tritium to build our generator, and we probably want that titanium. Every time you see a large hint, that means there's always resources. Like you can always build a mine there. And our leader's ability with the communal expansion hub will let us expand there even without people. That's pretty powerful. So let's try to get the tritium first. Notice because this is now 2 away from the city, it costs 2 power. A large tritium deposit. The resource prospection of this location has revealed a deposit of tritium as well as small hints of titanium. Always nice. Oh, and it's a large deposit. Getting 2, that is so good. That is so very good. The large mines does, of course, require more to build, but that is not a problem. We just can't expand there yet because we don't have the... I need to build that communal transport hub. I wonder if I should get the tritium first or the titanium. Ooh, that's tough. Probably the tritium. Getting the power going is really important. But now we have nothing else we can do this turn, so we are just going to end turn. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. I could put down the CO2 factory, but then I would use up all my titanium. I can't build a mine. I want the mines to get the resources as fast as possible. So I'm going to hold off on building my CO2 factory because of that. Okay, let's minimize that event. Then we have our research projects again. Let's look at the event. Periodically, you're going to get an event. So this one, the Mars Foundation is proposing a large cash prize to push researching a specific field. They are asking us to choose the field according to the most pressing need. We can get a laboratory, a habitation module, or a greenhouse farm. Well, we have very little chance of building the greenhouse farm or the habitation module as much as I would want it. The laboratory we might actually be able to build. Greenhouse farm requires water. We have very little water. But there could be silicates and nitrates to build a lab. I also like to look at our other projects. Tuber farm. That could be decent, but another tritium generator is probably the way to go. Because we're about to get tons and tons of tritium. So why don't I pick the tritium generator, and then I'll pick the laboratory. Then I'll put down our communal transport hub. This project can only be placed once per city. That is fine. Put it right next to the oxygen factory. Now I will expand to the tritium deposit. Now it says this location is far away from the city. Expanding here will result in -1 support per turn. But it's totally worth it to get the pit mine going and get the +2 tritium a turn. Okay, we have 2 thermal generators. We can't play yet, but we'll be able to play soon. So let's end turn. When I took that leader action, I'm not exploring, right? But that's fine. This is looking like a very strong start, getting so many resources. +3 on turn 3. That's amazing. So let's keep going. New trade route. Earth has established a permanent trade route with us. With regular traffic between the planets, we can expect our new colony to burgeon and grow for as long as we make the journey worthwhile for earthbound travelers. Fantastic. So I'm going to talk about the trade route first. The trade routes allow you to take an existing resource, like let's say the tritium here. We can export it, and then we can import something else, like say food or power or really anything. I could also export titanium to import silicates. It's totally flexible. You also need trade routes to do these space projects, which I haven't talked about yet. So you can get up to 3 slots of space projects. For example, this import oceans from Enceladus, it costs 8 tritium, and it'll give 20 oceans. So if I click import here, I'm going to export a tritium off of Mars to do this project. Once it gets up to 8, I can enable it and get some water to help terraform the planet. I don't know that I need to do that right now. That is not the most urgent priority. Generally, early game, what you want is lots and lots of resource income, and then you can trade that income for other things. So why don't I keep exploring? I want to know about this large hint of titanium here, and it gives me a little tritium to be able to put down a generator right away. Titanium deposit. Okay, got 4 titanium, 3 water, 3 tritium, and your team has discovered a lost batch of supply crates. So early game, there's these random events. They're generally positive. That gives you some bonuses. So here we have a supply crate that gives us +10 food, and we have a titanium deposit where we can build a mine. Oh, I'm already seeing a synergy here. This guy Leo has a distribution center. Must be built on a planet location. Adjacent mines provide an extra trade route to export their resources. I could build it here, and then I can grab the titanium mine and possibly something else later on. That's pretty powerful, and I get extra exports. So what that means is, so right now I only have 1 trade slot, right? I can export 1 tritium and then, you know, import something else. But if I use that ability, what I would be able to do is I could export 1 tritium and 1 titanium for free in addition to my 1 trade route. So basically I could export 3 things and import 3 other things. It's very good to have that option. Don't know I need it this second, but I will want it eventually. I also have enough tritium to put down my generator. I'm going to put it in this corner away from the people. Now we're getting +1 power turn. This is looking extremely promising as a start. And then projects. Okay, so you also want to avoid picking duplicates at the same card, right? I can't even play another tritium generator. I can't play my laboratory that I already have, so picking duplicates, not good in the early game. This robot hub, though, that looks real good. This one, you can have 6 power and 6 titanium, you get 2 robots. And robots can expand the city and count as population. So that's a very strong item there, or not item, a very strong research project. I'm trying to think. I probably want to generate the titanium as fast as possible, so I might explore here, put down the communal transport, or put down the distribution center and the robot. I would need 10 titanium because you need 6 and then you need 4 to build a mine. So I would need 10, which I could probably get just by exploring that stuff. Okay. Is there anything I want? I could export, say, a water to import the tritium to try to get that thermal generator built as soon as possible. That seems smart. So we're going to do that. You want to play as many cards as possible, as quick as possible. So Let's keep going. Got another research project. Could do a habitation module, a tuber farm, or a waste incinerator. +1 power per turn if at least 3 food is produced inside the city. That is probably not going to happen anytime soon. Whereas a tuber farm might actually happen. Okay, I want to stick with our plan to get that titanium. So I'm going to explore this rocky plains. 2 titanium, 2 nitrates, 2 tritium. Also links out to some other regions. And we're going to put down a distribution center next turn. Yeah, and I will have enough tritium. So what I will now do is export the water to import nitrates so we can try to put down that tuber farm, get some food going. No need to put down the robot hub until I actually need it. And I can't play the CO2 factory yet. If we can get more titanium, I'll do it, but it's not as important as getting as many resources early game as possible. Okay, and the turn again. Exploration satellites from Earth. To help with our exploration efforts, Earth delivered an array of exploration satellites to the Martian orbit. This allows us to map out remote regions from the comfort of our homes without having to send an exploration team into the unknown. This powerful tool, the Red Plan's secrets will soon be revealed. Excellent. Ooh, and architectural innovation. Our architects came up with a blueprint for a new megastructure. A structure of this impressive scale would be a true monument to Martian ingenuity. Our engineers are eager to implement the plans, but due to the tremendous effort required to realize it, we can only pick one of the blueprints. So what are our options? We can have Central Park, which helps with terraforming. It also makes people happy. That could be a okay choice. It's pretty cheap. Just 5 water and 5 nitrates, but we also don't really have the water or the nitrates. We could get a self-improving AI complex. This needs a lot of power and silicates, which we don't really have either, but giving +3 science a turn is super strong. And we can get a weather control center. If we have science, we can increase the climate's temperature, rain, and oxygen to make people happy. But I think the self-improving AI, even at the cost of the comfort of living, which I'll explain in a moment, is the best because you get more resources early on. And then we got some more projects, but I won't pick anything here just yet. Okay, we have our exploration satellites. Why don't I do that first? So you can see the cost is getting pretty high to explore some of these locations further away from our city. But the exploration satellites, it's always completely free. So if I use it, it takes 3 turns to recharge, but it doesn't cost any power, which is very nice. You'll see some of these locations has an exploration milestone. Those are very likely to contain a location to build another city. So the tricky part is, it's gonna be so expensive to explore out here. Probably want to explore in the other direction, try to build a city like maybe a little closer, but let's go for this water and titanium, I'm thinking. Even though it's further out. Yep, we have a crater. Our explorers have stumbled upon a crater, which could be a great location to start a new city. Crater room will provide some protection against radiation. Eventually, it could be domed over to enable people to walk around and live more easily. And you got the happy face, so we got some support out of that. Also got some water and titanium. And it's connected, to a couple other locations, as we can see. This city it's a good candidate because you have titanium and water here, so you can build 2 mines and harvest a lot of resources. It's just going to be very expensive to explore. So maybe I use the satellite gradually over the next 9 turns, and this could be maybe our 3rd city or something like that, but it's a great location. I just can't justify the power consumption to go there. So I will use our power to get that. Oh, I can't build a distribution center yet. Right. So let's go into our city and let's talk about some of the other things we could do here. We have right now 2 people. And there's these bars at the top that I didn't really talk about all these parameters. So right now, this is showing the support change per turn overall. And it's +1. So because we have headquarters and a habitation module. This parameter gets affected by this thing called comfort of living. So comfort of living, as it says, each population in the city generates support per turn equal to the comfort of living in the city. So we have 1 comfort of living. We have 2 people. So that's why we have +2 and then -1 from the location. That gives an overall +1. If the comfort of living is 2, we would get headquarters and habitation module would be +2 each. And then we would get +3 support. So comfort of living makes people happy. And the way it's calculated is based on this radiation protection parameter. Building a crater is very good for the protection. It's based on temperature, so low temperatures can cause unhappiness, as you can see. Higher temperature will help. Oxygen, I don't think that actually matters. The way it works is if it's, oxygen can only positively impact. So if we have 1 oxygen, it would matter. But -2, -1, 0, they're all the same. And rainfall never affects comfort of living anyway. So as you terraform, comfort of living will go up. Now, with all that being said, what I really want to do now is expand with the robot hub. Put down another tritium generator. And we can expand here. I know it's -2. People are getting very unhappy. But we can deal with it. And then I'll put down the distribution center to let us now expand to the mine. And I get some extra exports. For example, I can export my 2 tritium and import 2 nitrates to start thinking about putting down the tuber farm. That seems smart. I could also think about importing the silicates to build our self-improving AI complex. I know that people are starting to get quite unhappy. So to counteract that, I'm going to pick a public bath, +5 support per turn, and adjacent population +2 support per turn. If we can get some water and put this down, it'll counteract most of the unhappiness. Do we want to tuber farm first? Probably. I think that's the priority, and then we can deal with that. So yes, these locations are causing quite some unhappiness, but it's totally worth it. I could export a titanium to like really maximize our chances of getting that that nitrates. I don't think I need titanium for anything else right now. So yeah, the extra trade route benefits from this distribution center is going to be so good. And my city can now expand 2 more times. In fact, I know for a fact this nitrates you can build a mine there, which we will do. I want to export titanium is very valuable, but it's fine. Okay, let's end this turn as well. Space exploration mission. A few brave souls are ready to set out into the unknown. Planets and moons of our solar system beckon with riches and mysteries to be claimed and uncovered. Rare resources, unique scientific phenomena, breathtaking vistas. Mars is only the first step on our expansion across the system. Which celestial body shall be next? So we can get to Mercury, which will give us +1 tritium per turn. Jupiter, give us +3 atmosphere, or titanium, or Titan rather, +1 nitrates a turn. I'm not sure which one of these I want yet. Let's minimize it, and I'll pick that later. More research projects. Very tempting to just keep picking the tritium generators. But I don't want to pick any of those yet, because what I want to do next is explore this nitrate water location. The resource prospection of the location has revealed a deposit of nitrates as well as small hints of water. Excellent. A lot more water up here. So we can take that over, get a mine going. I'll redo my trade routes. Then I want to put down that tuber farm to start getting some food going. Let's put it down here. I have one more slot available. Might expand there. This could be a city location. Okay, let me think. What is most pressing right now? Well, if I explore Mercury, I could get +1 tritium, and I have tritium exports. So it's really +1 of any resource. That's pretty good. I also like that Mercurian solar panels project lot. +4 power per turn is amazing once you develop that. Jupiter is about terraforming, but we're already kind of doing that. And Titan is about nitrates, which is nice, but I don't know it's critical for our efforts right now. I do like the Mercury option. So the way the celestial bodies work is a little confusing. I'm gonna pick this Mercury one and you'll see what happens. So first it shows Mercury explored. Our explorers set foot on Mercury. The planet is rich in tritium and titanium, and its close proximity to the sun encouraged the development of highly efficient solar panels. We can see the solar system if you fully zoom out. There are, I believe, up to 8 planets you can colonize, 8 planets or moons. Mercury is, of course, the planet closest to the sun. You can develop this planet by doing a space project to increase the celestial development by exporting up to 10 powers. Then you can upgrade this to a outpost, which will generate +1 tritium per turn. Then you can pick projects that further develop it. Like there will be projects that show up in your research queue. If you pick that and you do the exports, you can develop it. You could also sell 60 science in total to upgrade it one more time. That could be difficult to do anytime soon, so not super realistic. But the +1 tritium per turn is that is far more realistic. Something we could potentially do. We can start exporting our power there, and then let me think about our projects here. Pick another tritium, Jenny. It's not a bad plan. Eco homes is also pretty nice. It's a cheap housing, but we're very far away from the science right now. Unless, of course, I get the AI thing going. Another tritium, Jenny. It's pretty useful. I think I'll pick that. You can also undo moves, so I'm going to revert that. There's an argument to be made for the eco homes because it's so efficient on the food. Science, if we build that AI project, we'll get all the science we could want. There is plenty of silicates here. That I do want to explore. So I definitely want to import that. What if we went all out on trying to get the level 1 AI set up? That seems smart. And then we should probably put down our public baths. And if we're going to do that, since we're exploring tritium, I'll pick the eco homes to have something to use that science on. Okay? Yeah, that seems smart. Rising expectations 1. Now this is starting to get a problem. As the colony grows and basic amenities become more common, so do people's expectations. Hardships of the early years are soon forgotten, and a warm bed, nourishing food, and regular entertainment are no longer considered luxuries, but requirements for a comfortable life. Your hardworking colonists expect their work to pay off, so it's only natural that their expectations rise as time goes on. There's nothing you can do about it. This is simply human nature at work. Okay, and I won't research that just yet. So that is, as you can see, a problem. We have 124 total expectations, but we're losing 16 a turn. So I will lose in like 8 turns Well, it's less than 10 turns, so I'm rounding to 8 if I don't do anything about this. Good thing I have that public baths to counteract that if I can get more water. The other way I can counteract that is this Mars enthusiasm in the upper right. So the way this works, and I didn't want to explain it early game because it's not relevant until now, is every time you put down a population, not robots, but of people, like eco homes, you get some happiness. And the happiness comes from the stored amount up here. It's like when you first put down that population, it's reset to 0. Then the next turn, it'll be at 10. It'll be plus 10 on the turn 0. And then next turn, you'll have 10 stored happiness, but it'll be plus 9. So turn 2, you'll have 19 happiness, but it'll be down to plus 8. So it's like 10 plus 9 plus 8, etc., all the way down to, I'm guessing, 0. I don't actually know what the minimum is. But, so the way the mechanic works is it wants you to wait a couple turns before putting down people. But you want to put down people eventually so you can get some happiness from that. We can also explore these sites to get some happiness. So that will all help us. I think getting that AI project down is our highest priority right now. So let's keep expanding, and exploring these locations will generate some happiness for us. So let's get the silicates and the nitrates here, rocky plains. Okay, ooh, large silicate deposit. That could be all I need, in fact, to that is in fact almost certainly all I need. So now I will export my resources to import water to put down public baths. I could put down the laboratory, but not yet. Not yet. Usually the large deposits, the minimum you can get is 4, I believe. So to counteract that, I will actually import 1 silicate to make sure I have enough to build my AI thing, which will cause even more unhappiness in the short term, but in the long run, it'll be very good. Brine electrolyzer, +2 support per turn for every building owned by the city that costs water. It's not worth the 10 titanium. I'll pick a robot hub for like my next city. Can't really, I already have a laboratory not even playing right now, so. Okay, end turn. Technological advancements. New research projects have been proposed by our R&D department. Our researchers suggested several different technologies they would like to work on. Which should we choose for the betterment of Martian society? So these are cards you get that when you play it, you get a particular effect. So for example, for the rest of the game rather, so it's a permanent buff. So urban planning costs 15 science. When you found a new city, it starts with 1 expansion. That is very nice. You can like take advantage of mine or something nearby right away. Pretty powerful. Advanced land clearance techniques, 25 science. Destroying a rock costs 2 power less. Seems for 25 science, that is very expensive. This seems overtuned. This should be like 10 science or something. We only have 1 rock in this city. In this other city site, okay, there's a decent number, but not all the resources I would say are equivalent. But I would argue science is potentially more valuable than power, or at least comparable. So I would have to spend 25 science to reduce the cost by 2. Then it would cost 1 that normally costs 3 powers to remove. So to break even, I would have to clear 10 rocks. This is not a good deal. Natural reserve. Now this one's interesting. Very cheap, 10 science. New location upgrades that provide support or comfort living provides +3 support per turn. It has to be on a location, like somewhere on Mars, but that can add up, and it's very, very cheap. That's the big thing about it. Very interesting choice. Before I pick the technology, let's just explore with Leo here. I already know that I want to hit this silicate deposit. So we got some science, nice. Silicates and water. And we got +10 food, fantastic. Very nice. Ooh, I bet this is a city site. This could be very good to take that and get the silicate mine going. This lets us put down the AI that will make people very unhappy. I know, but +3 science a turn. We can deal with that. We've got the self-improving AI complex. An experimental complex stacked with high-end computing systems that allow for unprecedented AI development. Artificial intelligence has come far since its inception. Our scientists can unlock even further development by teaching it to improve itself. However, many citizens eye this project with suspicion as they worry about the potential consequences of a singularity. That is right. Our people are right to be skeptical. But we need the science, man. We need the science to expand. And then we can upgrade the mecha structure once we have resources to further develop it. You also need more people in the city. The next one, new technologies are suggested 4 times as fast. So you retain the previous bonuses, but then you get the one in the blue. Okay, new technologies is nice. But mostly right now, I just want the +3 science per turn. So we get a massive infusion of resources. Next, I was speculating this region to the left is a great site for another city. Let's use the satellite on the water. Aquifer, nice. That if you build on it, you can get water a turn, or you can extract some of it for the oceans and terraform the planet. But no matter what, now we have 14 water. Oh, so unfortunate that we are 1 water short. That 1 water I exported early game is preventing me from playing this public baths this turn. That's okay though. That is okay. The importer science. Well, I'm going to explore it with my leader on this location with the water and the silicates no matter what. And usually you get 2 silicates, so I'm going to export titanium for a silicate so we could think about putting it on the laboratory. And then I'm going to import some more power because we are running dangerously low on power right now. Okay, this seems good. And finally, at the end of all of this, I will pick my event. So, land clearance, not good. Natural reserve, that could be good. It kind of fits the theme of terraforming the planet, but I haven't actually found a location that would bring happiness yet. So, I don't know. Urban planning, though, that's very strong. I'm going to pick the urban planning card. +1 free expansion is just, it's very, very, very strong. Okay, and then we can pick another project. We can do igloos. This is a advanced type of building, housing rather. It costs 25 food, 2 water. But it protects gives it some more radiation protection. And yeah, the population is fully protected from radiation as long as the temperature in the city is negative, which is going to be for all cities right now. And that makes the people very happy to use that. So that's an interesting choice. We also could do a soil factory. Adjacent food buildings produce +1 food per turn. That is not a good choice. And then the magnetic fusion power plant, though, more power. -1 comfort of living. That could be okay. Like, more power is very good. I also see these cards do have some, at the bottom, there are these, what do you call them? Indentations, markings. So this one has 2 markings, like this one has 1, and then the magnetic fusion plant has 0. So they indicate the rarity of the cards. If you have 2, it's like a rare card. And if it's 1 mark, it's an uncommon. So these are harder, they're much less likely to show up. But I also feel they're less useful. Whereas the magnetic fusion plant, I might actually play. And it would cause quite some unhappiness, but we could probably deal with it. Okay. Nothing else we can do. I'm doing all the exports I want to. Happiness is below 100, but that's okay. We'll deal with that. Ooh, a hospital could be just a thing. Or even a bus station. Reduce the negative support of distant locations by 1. That could be good. Huh. Okay, this is a choice of 3 very interesting cards. These are starting to get more advanced, right? These are all uncommon cards. I'll have to think about that. to think on that. Oh, let's use Leo to explore this location. A lava tube. Oh, interesting. An ancient volcanic lava tube is large enough that we could steal holes and build a city inside. It would offer high protection from radiation, but there would be lots of debris to remove. This location has a feature which will surely be a symbolic landmark for the people. Yep. Water and silicates. There's some water nearby. Lava tube is just quite unfortunate. It's not good early game. It's good later on. There's some special terrain on this city. So there's a silicate deposit. You can build a mine to get more silicates. There's fertile soil. Food producing buildings will produce +1 food. There's an arch where adjacent populations are happy if you build houses next to this this rock formation. But the problem is the city has a ton of rock and it requires 3 power to kill each rock. We can't actually like settle this effectively. That's very unfortunate. So it's starting to look like this city, we might just have to delay our second city for some time. And this looks like the place where we want to build our second city, most likely. Okay, well. Let's put down the public baths to counteract some of the unhappiness. Now we're at -8 per turn. That's good. Should probably put down the laboratory. Put it down here. Get some extra science. I do really like the idea of putting something down on this crater city. But we'll use a satellite to explore it. Oh, this could be a city site, though. Be a city site. Need more power. Very worried about our power situation. Of the 3 cards we have, Hospital is real interesting. +7 support per turn. We might need that just to survive. Because the next level of the Rising Unhappiness will do -28. We need to buy enough time for our terraforming projects to do something. I'd also put down the CO2 factory soon, but I'm starting to run out of locations in the city. I would much rather have that built on the next city. Hard conditions research lab, +1 science per turn for every 2 climate zones the city has expanded into. So I haven't talked about climate zones yet. It's basically the various regions or provinces. So that's like realistically +1 science. It's pretty bad investment. Bus station and hospital are both good choices. Hospital is very cheap, producing so much science. +7 science per support per turn is sweet indeed. Bus station allows us to expand very aggressively. For example, I could just grab the silicate mines with the bus station. And I could grab whatever that is. And it would help reduce support, reduce negative support. So it would be +3 happiness. That's quite comparable to the hospital. Well, no, the hospital is so much better. Oh, this is tough. I kind of want the bus station. I don't think I'm ever going to build a city on this lava tube. It just doesn't seem very realistic. I feel like bus station's the best choice here. Okay, that makes me want to redo the exports. I still need to import power, but I suppose I can export 1 tritium. Still waiting port power. Yeah, so I will have 6 next turn to build a bus station. And I can build a mine here if I so want. Can put the bus station here maybe. Yeah. Then we really got to think about building a second city. But I think it's got to be here. Or do I do the hospital? It's so hard because hospital here would be amazing. And we could put down an eco home like right here. And eventually you could put down another home over there. Get us to 6. I don't know how we're going to get 8 population. Maybe another robot or something. But there are other buildings that do the like adjacency happiness thing. Whereas the bus station, it's kind of a rarer type of card, I think. So I'll make that choice. And then we will go on to the last. Every leader only has 10 turns. So we're going to have an election next turn. And then we have new leaders, but we will talk about these leaders next time. Look at the list next time. Oh, a launching pad. Okay. I'll just make this choice now. I want to desperately do more exports so we can get the extra Martian exploration going. So that was a pretty easy choice out of the 3. In fact, well, I'll do it next turn. So yeah, I think this is a good stopping point. Thank you for watching. Until next time.